World of Lucid Dreaming and the Lucid Dreaming Experience magazine invite you to join me, Robert Waggoner, as we explore the nature of lucid dreams and the tips and techniques that make lucid dreaming easier and more profound. So my name is Robert Waggoner, along with the World of Lucid Dreaming and the Lucid Dreaming Experience magazine. I'm really happy to be part of this event tonight to kind of talk about lucid dreaming and also answer some of your questions about lucid dreaming. As you might have known, I co-edit the online magazine, The Lucid Dreaming Experience, and you can see the magazine cover there of our March issue, March 2023. And along with my co-editor, Lucy Gillis, we've been doing this for more than 20 years, getting lucid dream submissions from people around the world, also having 4 or 5 articles in each issue. And also I normally interview a person in each issue. And this past issue, the March 2023 issue, that's when I interviewed Jana, who's a blind lucid dreamer. So she began to have lucid dreams and she was kind of a little bit freaked out about it. And she investigated it, read one of my books in Finnish, and then she really began to explore lucid dreaming, knowing a little bit more about how to go about it. But it's really interesting to think about a person being blind and having lucid dreams. And in that interview, you can learn a lot about what her experience was, how she got started as a lucid dreamer, and some of the things that naturally, spontaneously happened in the lucid dream that allowed her, as a blind lucid dreamer, to be able to explore and experiment within the lucid dream. So I think that's really cool. Also, I see I have a raised hand already. I'm going to allow Jose to talk. Jose, if you unmute yourself, I think we can hear you. Oh. Hi, Jose.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, sorry. I'm at my mom's house. My little brother let me use his Mac, so I'm trying to get the lay of the land here. That was an accident on my part.
Okay, well, good enough. If nothing else, we know now that people can ask questions, and also I'm gonna mute you, but thanks for being here, Jose.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, we want to also send a shout out to all the moms out there, because we know this is Mother's Day, May 14th, 2023, and so we're happy to have moms here. So in any case, as I was saying, our last issue included this interview with a wonderful lucid dreamer who's blind, and it's really fascinating to learn from that about how someone can experience lucid dreaming while they're blind, because most of us think of it as a very visual state of being, but of course everyone has dreams, and of course everyone, it seems, could also have lucid dreams as well, and that includes blind people. They just go about it a different way and have different assistants than sighted people oftentimes have. What I wanted to mention also in this issue, there is another article, and I have the article right here, is an article written by Gillian Thetford, who I've known for a long time. And she wrote an article, it's basically on wake-initiated lucid dreaming, called Raisin Toast and Crossing the Dream Bridge. And what she mentioned was that she had a kind of hypnagogic experience. She had woken up in the middle of the night, was falling back to sleep, and she felt like she could see this kind of fuzzy image in her mind's eye, and like it was floating in a bubble there. And as she looked at it, she thought it kind of looked like raisin toast. And then she began to think in her mind, well, what does it smell like? What does it feel like? Is it crispy? Is it soft? What is that really all about? And she said suddenly it was like the image came right under her nose. And at that moment, she did a reality check to see if she was dreaming, and she became lucidly aware. And so in this article, Raisin Toast and Crossing the Dream Bridge, she talked about how she learned through a series of experiences like this that when she would see hypnagogic imagery, she learned to focus on just one image in the hypnagogic imagery and then begin to ask questions and think about it. And as she did that, as she focused on it, thought about it, touching it, tasting it, smelling it, relating to it somehow, she said oftentimes the image would suddenly become so real and might create an entire scenario around itself that then she could do a reality check and confirm that she was in a lucid dream. For her, her reality check is this. She has a lucid dream bracelet, and if she looks at it and she's not wearing it, then she knows, oh, this is a dream, because she's always wearing her lucid dream bracelet. Or if she looks at it and it doesn't say lucid, but has some different words, then she knows, oh, she's dreaming, because her lucid dream bracelet is all about lucid, being lucid. So anyway, that's the technique that she uses. But I just wanted to encourage people who have an interest in wake initiated lucid dreams that I think if you read this article, you'll learn something, because what I've noticed is often we have to cross the dream bridge to get into the dream lucidly once we become aware in a wake initiated lucid dream or in a hypnagogic imagery. That it's like you almost have to pull yourself into that dream space in order to have a fully complete lucid dream. And I think that's really, to some degree, what Gillian Thetford's talking about it. Instead of the physical act of pulling herself in there, she would just use her senses and questioning and wondering about it so much that she would make that wake initiated lucid dream environment much more real and profound. So I really hope that people will check out Lucid Dreaming Experience Magazine at luciddreamingmagazine.com. And before I leave that, I just did want to say that we'll have the June issue coming out in the middle of June. And so if you have a lucid dream that you want to get published, you can use your real name or a nom de plume, a fake name. And also, just go to our magazine website and you can submit it. Also, you can submit lucid dream articles as well. And again, we're the Lucid Dreaming Experience magazine, so we're all about the experience. So it's just not, theoretical reflections on lucid dreaming or something like that. We want to really get into people's lucid dream experience. And finally, I did want to say, and just to kind of plug the next issue, I'm going to be working with a lucid dreamer for a Lucid Dream Speak interview. And this gentleman tells me that lucid dreaming resulted in a profound healing for him. And so that's what I think is really interesting, is when you hear these fascinating stories of people who have used lucid dreaming for more than just having fun, for more than just playing around, for just getting into some really deep stuff. So I know Jake Thompson at World of Lucid Dreaming has already sent me some questions, but I see Anita has her hand up. So Anita, I'm going to allow you to talk. I think you have to unmute yourself, and if you want to say something, then feel free.
Yeah, yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah.
Because it's very strange. I don't see, the chat is disabled. There are many things that I can't see. So can you see me?
I can't see you, but we're just having people talk. We're not having.
Okay. So because also I am in New York and it said started at 9, but as I wasn't sure about the timing, I opened it earlier. So I'm a little confused, but I can hear you perfectly, so it's okay.
Okay. Well, good. Thanks. Did you have a question about lucid dreaming, Anita, or did you just?
No, it was about this Zoom thing. No, it
Okay.
wasn't. Okay. So
Perfect.
you can
Okay.
interrupt me if you want. So I how do I do to raise? No, I know. Okay. I don't have to raise a hand. I lower it. Can you see my hand?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, just unmute, just mute yourself now, and we'll go on. Yeah. Good. Well, good. So what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to move. I'm sorry. Well, I'm just going to go on and see what questions people have today. And Jake had already sent me some questions that people have. So I just wanted to get to some of those questions first before we go on to questions. You can all put questions in the chat room, and you can also put questions, just raise your hand, and then I'll click on your name and allow you to speak. But the first question that someone submitted was this. They ask, they heard on the internet that you should not look into a mirror when you're in a lucid dream. And Aline goes on to ask, is this true? And why is that the case? So this is an interesting question. Should you or should you not look into a mirror in a lucid dream? And is there anything good, bad, or indifferent about looking in a mirror in a lucid dream? So I've probably had 10 lucid dreams in which I've looked into a mirror. And because of that, because of that, I know that looking into a mirror is an interesting experience in and of itself. And what I mean by that is, in my experience, when I look into a mirror in a lucid dream, half the time I'll see myself as I am. I'll see myself as I look. So just like I'm looking in a mirror right now. However, the other half of the time when I look into a mirror, I won't see this face and this body. Instead, I'll see something else. I might see a woman looking back at me. I might see a man from the 12th century looking back at me, who's, from an entirely different culture and race and all that. And so I've realized that looking into a mirror is quite interesting. Normally in a dream, we think that we are the person, you are the person who's dreaming it, who's experiencing the dream in it. But when you look into a mirror, you might question that in a lucid dream, because in my experience, at least, about half the time, I don't see myself, Robert Waggoner. Instead, what I see is a totally different looking person looking there. So that might be why some people might not suggest that you look into a mirror. Now the other thing about mirrors is that in lucid dreaming, people have used mirrors as portals to travel. And so this is what they would do. They'd become lucidly aware. They would look into a mirror. They would ask to see, let me see a temple in ancient Japan. And as soon as they saw what they wanted to see in the mirror, like a temple in ancient Japan or whatever it was, a beach in Hawaii, whatever, then they would jump into the mirror, and oftentimes they would find themselves suddenly in that dream space of the ancient temple in Japan or the beach in Hawaii or whatever. So they use mirrors as kind of a portal to kind of, in a sense, in a lucid dream, go somewhere and all. But in general, Aline, what I would say is go ahead and look into a mirror, but don't be surprised if you don't see yourself. And if you see something different, then if I were you, I would make some notes and see what you see and kind of wonder, why am I seeing that? Why am I seeing this person from a different century who's looking like that? And what kind of vibe does that person have? And see if that somehow connects to some expression of yourself. Because oftentimes the dream in some ways is already a kind of mirror, because the dream is oftentimes reflecting back to us our projected mental energy. So if we have some anger issue going on in our life, we might project that mental energy out there and create a dream figure who represents it. And so because of that, in some ways, the dream is already a mirror. So I'm not worried about looking in a mirror in a lucid dream, but I do know enough that you have to be aware that something interesting might happen. So I'm going to go to another question that was submitted earlier by someone to Jake Thompson. This is from Jim. He asked, how will AI, artificial intelligence, and things like ChatGPT, how will AI change dreams and lucid dreams? And that it's an interesting question because there's a lot of us. Some of us are old enough to remember when there weren't cell phones, and so as soon as cell phones came into existence, all of a sudden in our dreams, oh, my darn cell phone won't work, and drat, what's going on? So suddenly in the dream realm, cell phones appear, but first it appeared in the waking world. And so I think what we're going to find, because of AI makes us question authorship, the reality of what we're reading. Did it come from someone who honestly knows, or was this just pulled from the internet and recombined in a very acceptable and tantalizing way? And so I think this will make us think about reality, just like lucid dreaming makes us think about reality, because where we find ourselves in a dream, we assume it's all real, and then we see something totally incredible, like Tom Cruise delivering pizzas, and we think, wait a second, Tom Cruise doesn't deliver pizzas? Oh, this has to be a dream. But up until that moment, everything seemed totally, completely real. Everything looks real, feels real, that looks like my real friend, and all that. It just seems so real. So lucid dreaming was a way of waking up to the truth of the situation. In that moment that this is a dream. I'm dreaming this. In many respects, this is a creation of my mind, and I would say also my larger awareness creating it. But when it comes to AI, I think this will give us another opportunity to question. Because let's say you're in a dream watching something on TV, and all of a sudden you'll be thinking, oh, this has to be a deep fake because, this person would never say that, or this is just, silly or something like that. So I think we'll start to see that the idea of artificial intelligence will make us question reality even one further step. So, we might have to come up with AI reality checks or something like that in order to work around this. But Jim, that's a good question. I think it'll show up, and I think it'll show up in the way that when you see something weird or strange, you might all of a sudden go to the erroneous idea that, oh, that's just a deep fake, that's an AI generated whatever, and not realize that this is a dream. So we'll see what happens there. I'd be interested to see what others would have to say about that anyway. So now I want to go to some of the questions that we have here, and I'm just going to scroll down here, and yep, we can see this. And okay, Barbara asked, how do you pronounce Onarianat? So Oneiro, Onari. I think that is basically a dream explorer, a sleep explorer, like an astronaut explores outer space. Onaro is a term about exploring inner space. I think that's what comes to mind right now. If I had my search function open, I'd check it and see. But if you put that in there, I think that's what you'll find. It either has to do, it's Greek. Aristotle wrote a book, Onaro Critica, which is basically an analysis of dreams. So an aeronaut is basically an explorer of dreams, which is what a lucid dreamer is. So yeah, it's Greek. Jamie wrote, when I see myself in the mirror in a lucid dream, I see myself as an Indian young boy meditating in lotus position. I can feel the energy all around me, and suddenly all the objects around me, they start to levitate, and even myself too. So again, you know, that just kind of shows us that looking into a mirror is actually a little bit more complex, because oftentimes reflected back to you isn't yourself, it's something else entirely. I remember one time looking into the mirror, expecting to see myself, and instead I saw what looked like a priest in Spain. I would say probably in the 12th or 13th century. And I just found that just totally amazing to see him sitting in this kind of clerical chair and this vaulted dome ceiling. It was really wild to see that. So that's really fascinating. So I'm going to allow Diane to speak. So Diane, I'm allowing you to talk. If you have a question
Yes.
you'd like, yeah, go ahead.
Yes, hello. Thank you so much.
Sure.
I am interested in healing the physical body through lucid dreaming, and I haven't had a chance to read your magazine that came out this month. I believe that there's an article about that, but I know you have a chapter in that in your book on lucid dreaming, Gateway to the Inner Self. And I'm very curious about anything you could share in terms of current research, or how can I learn more about that? If you could maybe perhaps explain the procedure or a method that one can kind of embark on this journey, I would be curious.
Right. So first, Diane, have you had any lucid dreams?
Yes, I have.
Okay, good. That's part of the challenge right there. So in both of my books, I have chapters on physical healing and lucid dreams. And so first, just to kind of get us to a scientific level, I feel like there's already the proof of concept in the work of Stephen LaBerge. So like he did early research on, he brought people into the sleep lab, he put monitors around their forearms. He told them, when you become lucidly aware, signal with your eyes that you're lucid, and then signal with your eyes again when you're beginning the experiment, and then begin to clench your fist in an alternating pattern. And we'll have these measures measuring any muscle movement in your forearms to see if the physical body is affected by the activity in a lucid dream. And of course, people became lucid, they signaled with their eyes, they began to do the alternating fist clenching in the lucid dream. And what did LaBerge see? He saw that there was muscle movement in an alternating pattern when the person signaled with their eyes that they were having a lucid dream. And then he did like 5 other experiments, respiration, all sorts of things. And it always came to the same thing, which was the lucid dream activity had a physical effect on the body. So I would say the proof of concept is there. And also the reason this goes further is in Omni magazine. This was a magazine in the 80s. I think it was April 1987. Stephen LaBerge and Jane Gackenbach had a survey asking lucid dreamers, had you ever tried to heal yourself in a lucid dream, and what happened? And I can't remember how many responses they got back, but they narrowed it down to 67 likely candidates of people who had healed something in a lucid dream. And in their subsequent article, it was sprained ankle, hives, menstrual cramps, and they just went down a whole long list of physical healings. But in the book, in my book, I explain how people have gone about this before. So like they become lucidly aware, they stabilize the lucid dream. You can't get too excited because you'll pop out. And then, for example, let's say you had a bad knee. You could, in the lucid dream, announce that now between your hands, you're collecting healing energy. And now with this healing energy or healing light, sometimes you'll see it as healing light, you'll place it over your bad knee, intending for it to be healed. And so people do this. Sometimes they have other processes like, thanking the creator for the healing or whatever. It all depends on what people are comfortable with. But sometimes people have done this and they've woken up and suddenly they've had a remarkable improvement. They're just utterly blown away. In the magazine, the Lucid Dreaming Experience magazine, which you can find online at luciddreamingmagazine.com, there's some wonderful stories. There's a gentleman, Ray, R-E-Y, from Canada. I think in waking life, he's like a stockbroker or something like that. He had gastroesophageal reflux disorder, GERD. He'd gone to all the doctors. They couldn't heal it. He'd taken all the medicines. They didn't really make an effect. It was so bad. His GERD was so bad that he had to sleep upright, propped upright. He couldn't lay flat in a bed. He had to sleep upright. And so he read my book. And the first time he had kind of a random lucid dream and remembered, oh yeah, I wanted to heal himself. But in the book, I always encourage people to make a plan. You have to make a plan in the waking state because you might not be able to figure it out in the lucid dream state about what you want to do at this moment. And so he tried to heal himself in the first lucid dream, but he said he woke up, maybe he is 10% better, 20% better, but it wasn't what you'd call a healing. So then he decided, okay, now I'm going to make a plan. So the next time he became lucidly aware, he stabilized the lucid dream. Now he had a plan. You can read about it at our luciddreamingmagazine.com website. But he said after the second lucid dream, he said his GERD was gone. He was just totally, completely blown away. And I talked to him, it's been 7 years, and he said basically his GERD disappeared and all. So there's various ways of approaching it. But again, that's why we write chapters in books, because there's some details and all that I can't get into here in an hour-long webinar.
Well, thank you so much. That's very, very helpful. Thank you.
Okay, good enough. Thank you. Yeah. So I'm going to go on down here to some more questions here. Kathy asked, Robert, did you ask who the 12th century guy in the mirror was? Was it a past life? So, that's a wonderful question. I honestly don't know. I probably could have asked the guy in the lucid dream. I don't know if he was a responsive dream figure or not, because I was just so stunned. It was kind of a jaw-dropping moment. And so was it a past life? Again, I didn't ask any questions. I honestly can't tell you about that. So Shannon has a question, which is, my question is this: similar to a sort of quantum leap, have you lucidly dreamed so intensely before that upon your waking, reality you felt it was subtly or dramatically altered, as in you felt you may have changed timelines? So it's interesting to think about that. At our magazine website, my co-editor, Lucy Gillis, has written about having lucid dreams where she meets parallel Lucys who had a different experience than the Lucy she recognizes. And so we know in modern physics, they'll talk about probable timelines or string theory and different strings of experience branching off and all that kind of thing. And so it's really an interesting question to ask, Shannon. if you go to the magazine website and search for simultaneous dreams or parallel dreams or something like that, I think you'll have some things start popping up, and you can read some of Lucy Gillis's articles. But she's had some really fascinating things where she's met a variety of Lucys, and then they'll talk together. That's a good one. So Robinson asked a question. He says, hello, Robert. I had my very first lucid dream yesterday, and yes, it was short, but I still loved it. I would like to know if now that I've had my first one, does this mean that I may have now higher chances to have more lucid dreams? I just can't wait for the next one. So anyway, first, Robinson, congratulations. It's always amazing when you have your very first lucid dream. Of course, as you probably know, if you get too excited, you're going to pop out of the lucid dream. And so it helps to know how to respond when you become lucidly aware. So I'd say you have to modulate your emotions, tell yourself to calm down, look at something boring, your hands, the floor, whatever, to help stabilize the energy. Also, it helps to enhance your awareness. You might want to rub your hands together, touch something in the lucid dream to kind of ground yourself. Help make that lucid dream more stable, because the more stable it is, then the more stable you become, and you're much more likely to have a longer lucid dream. And then finally, it's maintaining your focus, because once you've stabilized the lucid dream, if you go exploring, everything seems so real and amazing that you can oftentimes just return to regular dreaming. So modulate your emotions, enhance your awareness, maintain your focus, and that'll get you to having longer lucid dreams. But yes, I would say in general terms, you're right. As soon as you've cracked that egg and had your first lucid dream, you've opened up and affirmed your own ability. But again, it takes focus, takes practice, takes curiosity, takes a certain amount of love to have regular lucid dreams. So good luck to you. Okay. So there's a really long question from someone. I'm going to go by that. Question from Robinson. If you see yourself as a totally different person in the mirror, does the dream character also see you as the person you saw in the mirror? Or so do they see the real you? So again, first, in the dream, you might think it's Robinson having the dream, but when you look in a mirror, it doesn't appear to be Robinson. It appears to be someone else. So is that your emotional self looking in the mirror back at you? Is it a reflection of, your inner child self, or your financial self, or your whatever self? What's looking you back in the mirror? So probably the best thing to do, I would say, is question it. Ask it a question. Who are you? What do you represent? Asking open-ended questions is normally the best way to go forward and figure it out for yourself on that one. Yeah, thanks. Death asks, do you meditate while lucid dreaming? Can you describe your experience methods? So in my second book, Lucid Dreaming, Plain and Simple, along with my co-author, Caroline McCready, we had, I think, the first chapter ever on meditating and lucid dreams in our book. And so what you have to realize first is meditating can mean many things to many people. So for some people, it's chanting a mantra, Om Ahung, something like that. For other people, it's a visualization process. For other people, it's a breathing, breathe in, breathe out, that kind of meditation practice. But I'll tell you what I did, which led to a really profound experience. So by this time, I'd been lucid dreaming for about 20 years. A friend had asked me, had I ever meditated in a lucid dream? And I realized I hadn't. And so the next time I became lucid, I was walking down a dusty trail, and I became lucidly aware when I realized that it didn't make sense for me to be on this trail. And so I remember Linda had asked me to meditate in a lucid dream. So this is what I did. I just sat down in the trail. I put my legs in a half lotus or full lotus. Your legs are very flexible in a lucid dream, so that's easily accomplished. And then I began to empty my mind. So I let go of everything in my mind. And that's when something really extraordinary began to happen. If you can imagine, so I'm looking at the trees and the valley across the trail, and I'm emptying my mind. And within 15 seconds, it's like the dream imagery started to get ripped. The dream screen started to get ripped, and this brilliant light came shining through the rips in the screen. And after, you know, the screen was getting ripped apart, I kind of shook my head and thought, am I doing something wrong? What's going on here? I had no idea what to expect. So then I thought maybe I should close my eyes and meditate. So I closed my eyes and began to meditate by emptying my mind, by letting go of all thoughts and perceptions and beliefs, expectations, all that kind of stuff, focus. I just let it all go. And within 15 seconds, I was having the most transcendent kind of experience ever. So when I was telling this story one time at an event, there was a gentleman, Michael Katz from New York City. He's a Dzogchen practitioner. And he said, in his view of Buddhist dream yoga, that my experience is exactly what's supposed to happen. But he said he couldn't believe that someone did it their first time. He said, in his view, when you empty the mind, then base awareness or rigpa comes shining through. And that's exactly what was happening. So again, I've heard from other lucid dreamers, they've chanted mantras in their lucid dreams. 1,000 others start to chant the mantra. I've heard of people chanting mantras and then a figure appearing explaining that they're chanting the mantra incorrectly and correcting their pronunciation. So again, try whatever you want and play around with it. And I think you'll find that it can be really, really profound. So thank you for asking that. It's meditating in a lucid dream, I think, is something that everyone ought to give a go with. So Kent asked, what are some ways to utilize lucid dreams to create health and wealth in our waking life? So in my mind, the lucid dreaming is just naturally integrative. It helps the unconscious self and the conscious self meet on this open platform and learn from each other. And so you begin to learn about your own broader totality. So normally when I give talks, I say that lucid dreaming first allows us to access creativity. And when you're lucidly aware, you can access greater and greater levels of creativity if you know how to go about it. So first, accessing creativity, getting creative solutions, having creative ideas is like your own generative AI, but it's connected to your unconscious mind. It's beyond the internet. It's connected to your unconscious mind and whatever it connects to, which I would say would be kind of an infinite realm. So access creativity. You can use it for emotional healing. Already psychotherapists do that with people who have PTSD and recurring nightmares. People have used it for dealing with anxiety, phobias, and other things. You can use it for physical health, as we already talked about with Diane. You can use it to engage what I would call your larger awareness. And so that's why I call my first book, Lucid Dreaming, Gateway to the Inner Self. Because what I suggest is that in a lucid dream, you stop and you ask a question of the larger awareness. You just ignore the dream figures and just, hey, dream, show me something important for me to see. Sometimes the entire lucid dream will change. Sometimes one thing will appear, but you can begin to ask questions. You can ask to experience concepts. So I suggest to people, instead of trying to find spiritual figures, if they want to have a spiritual experience, go, hey, dream, let me experience unconditional love and see what happens. people who have done that have had their mind blown, because on a conceptual level, this thing occurs that will just shock you how deep love can be, how amazing it can be. So again, you can do it for all that. Then you can use it to perform spiritual practices. So there's a lot of value to create health and wealth in our waking life. Also, I've seen people use lucid dreaming to actually create wealth in their life. I don't think it's the ultimate purpose of lucid dream, but I think when it's necessary, people have access to it. So Jamie writes, when sending energy healing in an out-of-body experience, do you send the energy to the physical body or send the energy to the astral body, or does it matter or not? So in my books, I explain how lucid dreaming is different than out-of-body experiences. So in a lucid dream, the scientific definition is you realize within a dream that you're dreaming. You know this is a dream. So Tom Cruise is at your door delivering the pizza. Whoa, this is too weird. Oh, it's a dream. So you realize within a dream you're dreaming. An out of body might occur when you're having a heart attack and you're floating up against the ceiling and you watch the doctors and nurses try to revive you. So that's not realizing within a dream that you're dreaming. That's a different experience. Or you might be falling asleep or think you're falling asleep and suddenly you seeing the room from above your bed, and there is no realizing within a dream you're dreaming. You might have heard humming or buzzing or energy, and now you see yourself from 6 feet above your bed. So again, these are two totally different experiences. But in a lucid dream, what I would suggest is that it's the dream body. Oh, in a lucid dream, oh, that's my dream hand, and that's why I pull the finger. It gets larger and larger, longer and longer, because it's a reality check kind of thing. So, but on the other hand, when I focus healing on that hand that's hurting or has warts or whatever, and the next morning it's changed, just like the physical body was affected in these Stephen LaBerge experiments of doing the clenching the fist and all, then it shows that something actually occurs. So whether you're sending it to this body or that body, I don't honestly care. But in the lucid dream, I'm trying to heal the physical body. And so I'm working with the dream self, which is a representation of the physical body. But as Stephen LaBerge has shown, there's a connection that what you do in a lucid dream affects the physical body. So even though I'm doing it on the dream body representation, that dream body representation is still connected to the physical body. And by all the lucid dream healing examples I've received, it definitely appears to work. So that's a good theoretical question, but thanks. Yeah. Is the webinar going to be available for us to review or rewatch afterwards? And Jake Thompson says, yes, we will post the whole thing on the YouTube page. Jake Thompson asked, are you going to host any in-person lucid dream events again? I'll be at the International Association for the Study of Dreams. It'll be in Ashland, Ohio. They have a 5-day dream conference. I think it begins June 18th, something like that. You'd have to go to the International Association for the Study of Dreams. So I'll be there giving some talks. And yeah, I'll start doing in-person things again. Do I recommend any lucid dream devices? I've had more than 1,000 lucid dreams. I taught myself how to lucid dream 5 years before the scientific evidence for lucid dreaming occurred, just by doing some simple techniques that I explained in my books. I think in the greatest sense, I would really prefer that people use the psychological techniques, to become lucidly aware and not rely on gadgets. But I'm not against gadgets, but oftentimes I think the reason gadgets work is because of the expectation effect. Like one time, this guy sent me a goggle he had created that he thought would help people become lucidly aware. And so he sent me prototype number 2. And so I sat there at night and I put it around my head and I thought I had the whole thing wired up. But in the morning, I realized I hadn't got this thing wired up correctly and it didn't work. The next night, I spend more time making sure I got it all fixed up, ready to go, put it on my head, fall asleep. And I'm driving down 13th Street and it's snowing. And all of a sudden, a car goes into the ditch and red lights start flashing from the car going into the ditch. And I think, red lights. Oh, that's the sign. This is a dream. And I floated right out of my car and went on and had a great lucid dream experience. But in the morning, I looked at the machine and I know the machine still hadn't worked. And so it was just the expectation that the machine would help me see red lights that caused me to see red lights. So again, I'm not against devices, but I think people would be better served in the long run by learning the psychological techniques to have lucid dreams. So what are the most effective techniques for inducing lucid dreams? So my history in lucid dreaming goes way back, before the scientific evidence emerged. And I'll tell you, here they did a survey back then. The woman who started up the Lucid Dreaming Experience magazine did a survey way back in the 80s. How are you becoming lucidly aware? And I'll tell you, the number one technique was the power of suggestion. So think of this, focusing on this statement softly in your mind before you go to sleep. Tonight in my dreams, I'll be more critically aware. And when I notice anything strange, I'll realize I'm dreaming. Tonight in my dreams, I'll be more critically aware. And when I notice anything strange, I'll realize I'm dreaming. And you just repeat that softly over and over. And what you're telling yourself is to notice strange things. So when you see your friend who lives in France and how could he be there, suddenly that seems so strange, you'll become lucidly aware. But the power of suggestion was the number one technique, and it's easy, it's simple, it's basic, but you have to use mental focus and you have to kind of clear your head before you go to sleep in order to use the power of suggestion. Also in my book, I have some other suggestions that people can use. But again, there's a lot of techniques for inducing lucid dreams. Sadly, on the internet, actually, some of the worst techniques are promoted the most, and that's what kills me. When I get on the internet, I just like having sleep paralysis in order to have a lucid dream. Are you kidding me? That is so complicated. That takes 100 times more effort than the power of suggestion to have a lucid dream, and it doesn't result in that many lucid dreams, except for some people who have a proclivity for sleep paralysis. So anyway, there's a lot of techniques, and a lot of the best ones are written up and put in books written by folks who have been lucid dreaming for a long time. So Robinson Allard asks, how often in a lucid dream do you do reality checks or stabilize the dream to be able to have longer lucid dreams? So I myself grew up in a time before reality checks. I would say probably only in 1 in 20 lucid dreams would I ever do a reality check. Normally I know this is a dream, so why do I need to do a reality check? But when I do a reality check, normally I'll pull my finger, see if it gets longer. I'll jump up into the air, see if I float. I was giving a workshop in Prague. A German lucid dreamer told me that this is what he does. He puts his fingers in the Taoist sword and he'll point at something and go like that. And so like if the lampshade falls over, then he knows he's dreaming. So he'll just point at something, and if he can make that tree fall over, it's a dream. So that was kind of a funny one. So I don't do reality checks very often. Once I realize I'm dreaming, I know this is a dream. Now, to have longer lucid dreams requires that you maintain your focus. So if you're a beginner or an intermediate, you might want to announce every 15 or 30 seconds, this is a dream. I'm dreaming this. Or if you're a beginner, you might want to go exploring, but as you're exploring, say, okay, that's a dream car, and that's a dream house, and here comes a dream figure, and there goes a dream bird. You know, if you call everything a dream, then you're still in the mindset that this is a dream. I'm dreaming this. But to really have a long lucid dream, it's actually quite easy once you get into the habit of maintaining your focus, just reminding yourself this is a dream. My friend Lucy Gillis, she would say that oftentimes in her lucid dreams, she begins singing because she knows that she wouldn't be singing as she walks around the streets of Vancouver because people would think it's too odd. But she's singing in her lucid dream because she knows it's a dream. And so she can do whatever she wants. And as long as she's singing, she knows that, hey, this is a dream. So there's a lot of ways to have longer lucid dreams, but those would be some ways to think about it. So someone asked about methods. Tyler, I've had many lucid dreams in many different ways, but never it seems the same way twice in a row. Is there a pattern regarding what works at what time, like moon phases, or should I focus on making one method work? Yeah, that's a good one. Some of us have noticed that certain things seem to help us have more lucid dreams. Like I began to notice that nights after I would come home from an evening of doing Iyengar yoga, I'd spontaneously have a lucid dream. So was my energy level up? Did I feel more relaxed? What exactly happened there that would make me have a lucid dream? But there seemed to be a correlation between that kind of energetic work and having lucid dreams. Sometimes I found that when I would be traveling and staying like in a sketchy hotel where, you know, you're kind of vigilant because, you know, it's a sketchy hotel, that night I'd have a lucid dream. And was it just the fact that I was more vigilant, that I was more concerned or aware or noticing things? So there's a lot of little subtle things like that that can make a difference. But keep playing around with it, Tyler. I think you'll find a lucid dream technique that works. If you run out of ideas, go to our magazine and check it out. So Jerry-san put up their hand, so I'm going to allow Jerry-san to talk. Jerry-san, if you'll.
Ross, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
All right. Well, first I'll do a quick reality check. I'm talking to Robert Waggoner.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not a generative AI, so don't worry.
I met you in a dream one time and it didn't click. But anyway, it was funny. So I'm going through a bit of a dry period. I've been dreaming or paying attention to my dreams about the last 5 years. And I'd say I've had about 60 lucid dreams out of about 200 noted, more than 200 noted dreams. But it's gone very quiet over the last 2 or 3 months, like one, it'd be maybe 2 every 3 months at the moment. So I'm hoping this little chat will spice the energy a bit, exactly, and any tips as well.
Yeah, so thanks, Jerry. That's a good question. I'm going to mute you. So in almost every lucid dreamer I've talked to, they have dry periods or kind of droughts. And sometimes it's related to what's going on in their life. Either they're too busy at work or they're in some emotional thing that's going sour and they're just not in a good frame of mind or something like that. So oftentimes that explains it. And once you kind of get back in the groove, then the lucid dreams come back and you're back to the races. One thing I did discover, though, is that on occasion, if I ever had a big lucid dream where I felt like my inner self or larger awareness was trying to ask me to grow and I didn't want to grow, then it's like I stopped having lucid dreams. You know, I'd go 6 weeks and not have a lucid dream. And so what I've asked people to do is go back into time to where the trouble seems to have begun and see if you had a lucid dream at that time that was kind of asking you to grow as a person, to step beyond your fears, to resolve some issue or something like that. Because sometimes when our ego self comes up to that fear, the ego just stops and it'll suppress or censor lucid dreaming. And so you might want to check into that to see if there was something where you were encouraged to grow or think about something new, and see if there's something there that you need to consciously explore. Because sometimes consciously, when we allow ourselves to grow, all of a sudden the lucid dreaming occurs. I had another case, gentleman, I was out in Ireland giving a talk. Young guy said he was doing great at lucid dreaming, and then it just dried up, and it was like 6 months earlier. And so I brought up this same suggestion, and he said he didn't think that was it. And then it occurred to him by the end of the workshop, he realized that 6 months earlier, he sat down with his dad to watch the movie Waking Life. And his father, and he watched it to the very end, and the kids, yeah, what a great movie. And the dad looks at him and goes, what a bunch of rubbish. And the guy just adored his dad. And for his dad to say that lucid dreaming just seemed like rubbish, he said after that, he stopped having lucid dreams. And then he told me after having that realization about what stopped it, then his lucid dream started up again. So you can just see how a lot of this can hinge on very small things, and sometimes disapproval from other people we care about is enough to stop us from lucid dreaming. So Shannon asked, in waking reality, have you ever had to second guess if you were lucid dreaming? Have the lines ever blurred? I would say that when you get pretty good at lucid dreaming and you're having frequent lucid dreams, you'll have this experience happen on occasion that you'll be someplace and you literally have to, double check. I thought I was waking, but this seems so dreamy. And sometimes it has to do with strange synchronicities, like synchronicities that are like a 1 in a 10 million chance. And those are the moments when the lines get blurred between waking and dreaming. So yeah, that happens. And so how do you really know that right now you're not a lucid dream of your higher self? That's a wonderful question and something people ought to think about. So thank you for bringing that one. Nick Flying with Fern has a great one. He goes, I'm having many amazing lucid experiences, but I really want to gain lucidity nightly. I've been testing many different methods of induction. One thing I've been testing is pre-recordings of myself saying, I am dreaming repeatedly, and other similar phrases. I would think this method would trigger lucidity more easily. Has there been much experimentation with audio recordings to promote lucidity? Back in the day, there was probably 20, 25 years ago, there was a lot of times it would cause the lucid dreamer or the dreamer to wake up. It helped some people become lucidly aware, but it wasn't something that resulted in frequent lucid dreaming. In my second book, Lucid Dreaming, Plain and Simple, I give a mindfulness technique that I adopted, which took me up to having 30 lucid dreams a month. And basically, I developed a lucid mindset during the day, and then that allowed me to have 30 lucid dreams a month. Now, I do want to say that some nights I'd have 2 or 3 lucid dreams. So it wasn't lucid dreaming every night, but by developing this lucid mindset technique, it allowed me to move. I started out probably having 1 to 2 lucid dreams a month, and slowly, gradually over the years, got up to 4 to 6 to 8 to 10, and kind of seemed to plateau around 10 a month. But when I developed this mindfulness technique that I talk about in the book, that's when I got much higher. So anyway, I apologize, everyone. I think we're coming to the end of the hour. And I just wanted to thank Jake Thompson at World of Lucid Dreaming for helping have this event occur, and also for bringing all the questions forward so I could move the conversation along. So thanks, Jake, for making that happen. I hope you'll be sure and check out the World of Lucid Dreaming Facebook page and website. There's always some really interesting things going on there, some interesting articles and all. We'll be taking a lot of these questions that are on the chat, and we'll be putting them on the World of Lucid Dreaming Facebook page. And so then I'll start going through and typing out answers to your questions there. So I promise that tomorrow I'll spend an hour or however long it takes responding to questions. And there I can also put on links to things that might interest people. But if your question we didn't get to it, then we'll get to it there. But I just want to thank everyone. Also, again, we have this magazine. It's free. It's online. It's something that I've been doing for more than 20 years with my friend Lucy Gillis, the Lucid Dreaming Experience at luciddreamingmagazine.com. What I would love is for people to submit lucid dreams, because the lucid dream that you submit, even as a beginner, might encourage and inspire another beginner. Or the lucid dream that you send in as an intermediate or advanced person might be the thing that really gives another person a lot of insight. And so we really love for our lucid dreamers out there to submit their own lucid dreams. Again, you don't have to use your real name if you don't want to. Use a nom de plume, a fake name, and but we'd love to have that, because we need it here in about the next week and a half to make it into the June issue. And also here in the June issue, we're going to have a wonderful lucid dream speak interview with a gentleman who had a very serious physical ailment, and the doctors basically, it sounds like, gave up on him, and then he used lucid dreams to have a profound recovery, just totally unexpected. So again, my thanks to everyone for coming and being part of this, and I'll see you on the World of Lucid Dreaming Facebook page and answer your questions there. So hopefully we'll do this here in about another month, and so look for another announcement, and we'll see you then. So bye, everyone.